Public Eye on the Bridge, broadcasting on FM 99 and checking with Irie Jam in New York, a program where we talk about the news, the views. Here in Jamaica, we're looking positive. We want to see things better for all of our people. Yeah, the big issue, one of the big issues in Jamaica has to do with that colorful politician, Darrell Vaz, friend. Yes, he and others lost their visa. He and his wife were particularly mentioned over a year ago. No one knew why. The American embassy never tells you, They just canceled the visa. Well, he's got an advocate in the former ambassador of the United States to Jamaica, Mr. Donald Tapia. You remember him? Very outspoken man, controversial. Didn't agree with his views in many instances, but he said that the United States made a mistake with Darrell and should not take away his visa. So perhaps because of his advocacy and representation, Darrell has got a one-year visa, but the one-year visa has a proviso to it that seems to indicate that there was some good reason. I'm not going to state what the usual connection is that caused the loss of the visa in the first instance. And it is perfectly reasonable that he and the Prime Minister be asked to say, hey, what is this? Can you clear up this insofar as you know? The problem is I don't think they really know. Yes, U.S. State Department, they don't tell anybody anything, They just do what they please. But it's unfair to Darrell to leave the cloud over his head. So they better tell what it is. It's not fair. If you say that you rate somebody, if you have good diplomatic relations with Jamaica, you mustn't put one of our ministers or any of our people, Philip Paulwell is in the same position. Talk it straight. If it's to their disadvantage, then we will judge that and deal with it, as you have. If it is not to their disadvantage, then we have to correct it. We have to treat each other fair and decent, don't you think? Yeah. Well, my concern is regarding Darrell is something else, though. Yesterday in Parliament, Darrell acknowledged that well over 50% of the schools in Jamaica don't have any broadband, don't have any connection with the internet or insufficient connection with the internet. He's the Minister of Technology, so he would know. Now, that is serious, because what that means is that the charade of virtual education that is being touted in Jamaica right now, that all the children are being supposed to be exposed to, is not only not working because children don't have the tablet or the smartphone or the credit, the data, or don't have the supervision, or for whatever other reason, don't have the attention that is needed to really benefit from distance education. The fact is that the majority of them, especially in the rural areas, don't have any chance of connectivity with the internet. Now, when I had something to do with education a few years ago, one of the conditions in 2013, I think it was, or 2012, that was promised by the telecommunications companies, I remember that in consideration of the license that they were given for broadband coverage in Jamaica, they made a promise that over a period of time, I think it was 4 or 5 years, they would extend coverage to all of the schools in Jamaica. And that's only reasonable, These companies, Flow, Digicel, they make billions of dollars on our market, on our connectivity, from our desire to communicate by whatever means. And that's okay. If they're providing a service and it's a reasonable cost, then and we choose to buy it, then they profit from it. That's fine. That's a system. No one's against that. But there was a condition, as I recall it. I believe it was written. If it wasn't, whether it was or it wasn't, it should have been imposed that you must ensure that our schools are getting the very best of the internet connection. Otherwise, it's a serious problem, A problem that all our children are being set back now for more than one academic year. Who for learn to read never learn. Who for learn to count and do maths to function in 21st century economy. Can't do it. Will pick and find their way through social media and watch video game and pornography and maybe learn 2 lessons. But that's not good enough. Jamaicans, as you people in the diaspora well know, all of us supposed to know as well, are competing in a global marketplace. And it's the skills and talents that God has given us, supposed to be properly nurtured, expanded, encouraged. And you can't do it in the present system. So, Darrell, boy, you were frank yesterday in Parliament. You said that it wasn't where you wanted it to be, but that's an understatement. Jamaica is being poorly served. Our education system, which ought to be served well by the internet providers, is in fact being severely underserved to our disadvantage. And the disadvantage is like COVID, you can't see it, but it's going to come and affect you in terms of your capacity, the children's ability to take in the learning for years to come. It can affect you through your career, through your entire life. So government, we need to know something more about this. Darrell said yesterday that many more schools hopefully will be connected by December. Hey, brethren, we really need you to deliver on that promise, you see. And all the ads and promotion and Section 58.3 of the Betting and Gaming and Lottery Act, you can earn money if you buy credit. That is not enough from the host companies. We want them to supply the schools so that we can have full broadband access. Caller, good morning. This is the Public Eye.
Good morning, Ronnie.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. The last time I spoke with you, I didn't get an opportunity to formally welcome you to this program, to your program. And I have been receiving quite a few commendations from persons listening to the program. They have asked me to publicly commend you on this very, very successful program on Wednesdays thus far. I must commend you, Ronnie, on the interview which you had with the Honorable Colonel Charles. Quite an interesting interview a few weeks ago.
More credit to him than to me, though, because Colonel is a very interesting person, someone I've known for many, many years. In fact, let me tell you something. We may not want to remember it, but I was part of the team that prosecuted him for criminal libel in 1976.
Yes.
Yes, but he has never, I've never held it against him, nor he against me, more importantly. And we share a passion for public service. I admire his commitment and his dedication.
Yes. Ronnie, I would like to discuss with you 2 issues this morning. With regards to the Darrell Vaz issue, as you know, the former United States ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, commented on a program that he was advised when he arrived in Jamaica that then National Security Minister Peter Bunting had asked MOCA to conduct security checks on Darrell Vaz. Thereafter, the Director General of MOCA, Colonel Desmond Edwards, a highly professional JDF Commission officer of impeccable integrity, has publicly stated that at no time did Minister Bunting or anyone else ask him or MOCA to do any security checks or review on Darrell Vaz, and that MOCA had absolutely nothing to do with the revocation of Mr. Vaz's visa.
So how Mr. Tapia could have said what him said, Mr. D?
Well, what I would have to conclude, Ronnie, is that the information that Ambassador Tapia had was inaccurate and he was misled.
Well,
because, yes.
To say the least, look at the prejudice. Prejudice Darrell, and no doubt Anne-Marie, yes. We don't know what has left a cloud even now, which is unresolved. Prejudice MOCA, which we really need to keep its independence as a prize thing, and also slanders Peter Bunting. How'd that go?
Yes.
An ambassador can do that, sir? No. Don't care where you come from, Mr. Tapia. You're wrong. You have to take responsibility for what you say. Even if it was,
yes.
even if it never originated with you, but somebody tell you that, you can't lie, so.
No, and it would be. I think it is important, Ronnie, for the erudite ambassador to publicly apologize to Peter Bunting and also to MOCA Mocha and his Director General, because clearly the information that he had on that situation was incorrect. Now, generally and broadly speaking, Mocha is the most senior and highly vetted law enforcement agency in Jamaica of impeccable integrity and performance, and really has done a good job so far. And as the Director General pointed out, that Mocha cannot be directed by any politician or any person in this country. They are independent, and as you know, the law was amended.
Well, just to interpose, if you will allow me, there's another good thing. Mocha was the independence of Mocha, its structure was over time jointly accepted as required and configured by two different administrations.
Yes.
So if we can come together to do something like that, to build an institution of such integrity and importance as you affirm, yes, that's a good sign for the future, isn't it?
Yes, and it was Peter Bunting who established MOCA, and Dr. Chang deserves commendation
equally
for continuing
certainly
the support to MOCA.
So I want to say to Peter, my comrade brother, and to Horace,
yes,
my friend, yes, that this is the kind of example we want to, certainly on all matters of national security. This is the same thing we want, is it not, sir, about health, where we don't want to hear Maurice Guy come on this program as he did last week and say he's not consulted at all by the Minister of Health. We must stop this foolishness now, man.
Yes, that is unacceptable.
There's a public interest that transcends party loyalty and party division.
Absolutely. But you made reference, Ronnie, going back to this issue, is it the notation on the visa that was issued to Mr. Vaz?
Yeah.
I think that the United States Embassy, with the respect due to the embassy, I think they need to explain what has caused them to have this notation on the visa, which has now been given to Mr. Vaz.
I think so too. It's unfortunate, but I wanted you give me the opportunity, for which I'm grateful, to deepen it a little. These people feel because they are big and because we are dependent on them and plenty of our people live there and so on, that they can take step with us, sir. You can't do that. Yes. Our character is as important as yours. Our personality, our humanity is as important and dignified and sacred as yours. In Jesus' name, don't take step with us. If you have a problem with us, tell us what it is. If you don't have a problem, don't compromise us by putting any notation, inscrutable notation upon our visa. Not true?
Absolutely, Ronnie, because as is had...
Stop skin up now, The public have to talk it straight.
Yes, you're correct, Ronnie. As has been published, the JCF, the JDF, the DEA in the United States, and the FBI have totally cleared Mr. Vaz of any wrongdoing. So I'm a bit flabbergasted that notation is there. Recently, the police commissioner called for the necessary amendments to the Firearms Act so that everyone caught with an illegal firearm on conviction will be fined and also be sentenced to a prison term at hard labor. That is currently not the case now. He highlighted a few cases where persons have been convicted of illegal possession of firearm and they pay a fine and they go absolutely free. In terms of the Dangerous Drugs Act, he also called for that to be amended, so anyone caught dealing, exporting, and trafficking in drugs will be fined and also sentenced to a prison term as well. He pointed out of a case where approximately $100 million of cocaine was found. The person was arrested and he paid a fine less than $10 million and he did not serve a prison sentence at all. I think that these amendments are necessary. Such crimes are such dangerous crimes, Ronnie. Don't you think that those persons should be sentenced to a term in prison on conviction?
Thank you for the views and thank you for asking my thoughts. First of all, I really want us to respect the discretion of judges. And I was surprised at General Anderson, who I believe is a thoughtful person, making reference to these instances, but saying no more on the circumstances, other circumstances that must have been at play for these unusually low sentences to be awarded in those cases. I would like to know how that happened, because our judges, sir, are not irresponsible, nor are they lax people. Yes? That's one. Two, I am certainly people. Well, let me start from a premise. As far as the gun thing goes, in my view, nobody should have a gun in Jamaica other than the security forces and people in very special circumstances. We have no Second Amendment in our Constitution, and we do not need. This is not a Cold War that we have. We need a security force which is so trained, so efficient, so ample that they can protect us rather than we having to drudge a gun. I've never owned or held a gun in my life, and I don't want to. Guns are weapons of destruction or threat. Why should we live in that context? But having recognized that is not a popular view, I would really like General Anderson, the same time as he wants increased sentences, to tell us where the guns are coming from, why it is that we have never had, as far as I know, any conviction for anybody who is bringing in hundreds of drugs, if we are to believe, and we do believe, Minister Horace Chang every month into this country. How'd that go?
Well, the question is, Ronnie, according to Mr. Chang, I am trying to seek to understand this.
Yeah.
According to Minister Chang, Ronnie,
Yeah.
police and army intelligence to him in his briefing state that approximately 200 illegal firearms are entering this country each month.
So why they can't catch some of them, please, sir?
My question is, why can't those guns be found and the persons who are importing them be arrested?
Exactly, that is my point, sir. So while we run down the rebel youth on the corner who drudge a gun because he associates that with the only vision of manhood that he knows, while that is wrong, while you have men who go bird shooting long after the season, while you have men who menace his woman and his wife by putting a gun under the matrimonial bed, yes, pillow, all of that. I want to. Guns serve very little positive purpose in this country.
Yes.
Thanks for the call. I have to leave you.
All the best, Ronnie.
All the best.
You.
Thanks again. Welcome always. Desmond Richards, welcome.
Good morning. I am here. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you well now. Thanks so much for joining us on the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 and Irie Jam. Yeah, man. Former president of the Press Association of Jamaica, veteran journalist and public commentator. Desmond, I'm anxious on this end of the 9th month of 2021. In the midst of COVID, rampant crime, supplementary budget estimates, all of the factors touching our lives. Give us your view of the health of our polity, the state of our nation. How you see it?
Well, let me start by just making a sentence on your previous discussion.
Yeah, man.
I believe, and it's more than believe, that one of the reasons why light sentences, those cases that were presented by the commissioner, I've been hearing put in the mix sloppy police investigation.
Hear that now?
And also corrupt police investigation. Those of us who live here can recall, if they wish to, because some of us are selective, the numerous occasions on which cases were thrown out because not only of sloppy investigations, but also because of some level of corruption.
Statement
right
makeup.
Yes, right. You will recall a detective in Montego Bay, I think he's still on the run, who confessed of to manufacturing statements in a murder case.
Yeah.
So
Can
we have
imagine
all
murder.
those. Yes, we have all those to contend with. And one of the things we must remember that judges try cases based on evidence presented to them. They don't investigate crime, you know.
Yeah.
So if a sloppy case is presented, the judge sitting on the bench have a responsibility to administer justice. And as a lawyer, you know, technical issues can set a man free.
Yes.
Now, back to the general situation. Well, everybody in Jamaica at this moment, except for the rich, can associate with what I am about to say. One is that businesses, small businesses especially, are going through hell at the moment.
Yeah. Tell us why.
Well, the two things: the spending power of consumers has been slashed drastically.
Yeah.
The previous days lockdown also contributed to that. The price of goods and services are going up daily, and therefore, with the limited purchasing power in your wallet, you are able to purchase less goods and services, and therefore it impacts on the bottom line of businesses. Now, at the same time, you can see, if you look at various reports, that this does not mean that other businesses, especially big businesses, they are swimming in dollars and cents. It is a one-handed one. You're on a one-lane street. Some sections, some on the lane are prospering, while others are sucking salt through a wooden spoon.
Yeah, but I have to ask you, while that is terrible, if you care about the humanity of those who are sucking the salt through the wooden spoon, my contention, which I put before for your comment, Desmond Richards, is that this is unavoidable. This is the way the system is set up. The system of political economy in this country, yes, is simply not designed. It can't work to provide opportunity for the majority of our people.
Well,
and especially during times of stress, what you will find is that those who have money in their pocket and those who can take money out of people's pocket, because that is happening, yes? That is happening. Government is taking more and more money out of people's pocket. Listen to Honorable Nigel Clark yesterday about revenue surplus. Yes? Whether for good or for ill, whether honestly or dishonestly, they must be exponentially rich, while the rest of people and the small businesses you will speak of, they're destined for destruction. Is that unfair?
Well, I don't see you are hitting the nail right on the head. Now, the trick, remember, what has been pursued in Jamaica for a very long time is what is popularly known as the trickle-down economic model.
Yeah.
And therefore, it has not worked. It is not working, and I don't see any way that it is going to bring forth any fruits for the Jamaican populace.
The very fact.
For example,
go ahead.
The government is offering a 4% wage increase.
Yeah.
Inflation is about 3% above that.
Yeah.
Now, what that means for me, speaking not as an economist but as a practical pragmatist, is that if I'm not getting any raise of pay.
You're getting a reduction.
I'm getting a reduction.
Of course.
So therefore, I will be worse off.
Yeah.
And while that is happening, as I said, the super rich are making quadruple profit.
So where is the morality, Desmond Richards? Here it is now, that super rich profits. The banks are repatriating most of the billions that they speak of. Anybody who is a serious investor in this country is hedging Jamaican dollar because of its instability. No, it's not unstable. It is going down. Yes, they invest in US dollars. While those who are least in the society, those who need most, Yes, those who are most suspect to whether it is disease or crime or anything else are being offered 3,000 something a month, and that is the best that the government can do by way of supporting their humanity. No, nobody's asking for handouts. Nobody's prizing dependency. What one is asking is opportunity. Yes? Now, when you have a situation like that, and the majority of our people, whether it's nurses, teachers, whoever, just decides that they're going to cross a bridge and go to the diaspora, who we are broadcasting to this morning, what do you expect? And where you get the notion of prosperity out of that, brethren?
Well, Ronnie, I don't know. Every day I ask myself this question. Is there any morality in the capitalist model? I think the morality is profit. Yeah. Profit is what drives capitalism.
Yeah, but hold on, philosophically, no. You see, because that is so, and we feel that this is the apogee of human achievement, yes, then you have to understand that what you're doing is preferring yourself over the humanity, the interest, the survival, the very survival of the majority of the people who you call in the same breath brother and sister. Teach us true respect for all.
And this is going to take serious political leadership to really bring some equality to the boat.
So wait now, Desmond Richards, hold on a second. When we come back from this short break, you tell me whether you see the germ of this serious political leadership, using your words, in the future. And remind me, if you can, tell me of the thoughts, of the way the system has been perverted, as disclosed, for example, by Charles Mills, the Jamaican philosopher who has just died. Public eye and the open mind on the bridge soon come. On the Bridge with Desmond Richards, veteran journalist and public commentator. So you see the political leadership, Mr. Richards?
Hello, I'm here.
I'm asking if you see the quality political leadership to move us out of a system of oppression into a system of opportunity and better equality.
Well, Reverend, I have been looking and searching, and although I am optically challenged, I can say without any fear of contradiction that I have not seen it. I have not seen it yet. I'm still looking because there's serious consequences if we continue along this road. You know.
What like what? Don't tell me about 1831 and don't tell me about 1865 or 1938, Desmond Richards. What you need to tell me about is more what has happened, what the Haitianization of Jamaica.
Well, I am not going back to 1838. Where I am, where I do my business and live. Yeah. Guns are on the street. Guns are prevalent as water.
Oh God!
And they are in the hands of young, irresponsible people who are telling you, if you talk to them, they are telling you about they don't care.
Yeah.
Now, what we're doing here, if we continue, I'm afraid that we could be sowing the seed for anarchy. Because these young outlaws, they don't care. They are neglected. They don't have any hope.
No school.
They don't see any roadmap for progress, and therefore they are gullible. They are easily recruited, and they can be led astray easily. Now, we don't want that. We don't want to. What we are seeing in Jamaica right now is that the vast majority of the offenders who are firing guns, these are young men. We cannot continue to lose our young men to crime and violence. You know, that too has an impact on a society that is aging, right? So something has to be done to rescue the youth, to give them some hope, and also to re-engineer the economic process so that people, ordinary Jamaicans, see some roadmap, see some chance of buying a little more bread and a little more butter.
My God, Desmond, but you see, you and Ron are just aggravating the thing. Of course, the thing is bad, but you don't see Andrews trying. You don't see Horace. I mean, you're the ones who are against the state of emergency. You know, some of them just they're so bad that they probably have to be killed. You know, and eliminated. And we're trying in the schools. You know, and the budget just can only do so much. And you know, I have my business, and I've told my wife, don't go below halfway through, you know. And if you carry on the way I hear you and Desmond carrying on the bridge, I'm just going to go to Miami.
Well, listen, those who want to take that viewpoint are free to do so. I am talking about what exists. I am not the person who I am not pushing it. I'm telling you that is the reality. It's for many, many people in Jamaica. Yeah. All right, Mr. Trace, one of the things that shocked me, I am from rural Jamaica. Yeah. Very poor beginning. I have never bought a squeeze of toothpaste. I have never bought what you call a slice of bread. I don't know what that is. I've never encountered that.
A spoon of sugar for your tea at $5?
No, I don't know that. And I am saying that I am coming from the dump.
Things getting worse.
And I am seeing this in the corporate area. But are you a little toothpaste, a slice of bread? What is that? What is that? No, when people are facing conditions like those who don't face these conditions can't. They're real, and it push people to the brink.
Okay, but
to do something.
Yeah, but hear me now. This program goes to people, Jamaicans who are living abroad. Many of them have the experience that you speak of. Many of them are busting their heads on other parts of their anatomy to send back barrel and money. The remittances going up 25%, let's say, over the last quarter. That keeping us going. I want my friend Desmond Richards to leave a message, because we want them people not to lose faith and say it gone bad. Better me just forget about Jamaica. I want those people to want to come back to buy something, to invest, to have some hope for the future. How that going to work, Master?
Well, listen. What I would say to my brothers and sisters in the United States and Britain, that I am not painting a picture of gloom and doom. Oh. I'm saying that here is the situation. Okay, so we have a situation. What we must try and do is do something to correct it. We have not. It is not beyond us, you know. What we are facing in Jamaica is not beyond us. What we need is serious leadership. We need, for example, the people in the diaspora. They can play a part. They can play a part by they are doing a lot already. That those families who are sending back, they are doing a lot.
Oh, you mean?
But they need. I think I seriously believe that the time has come for them to play a more meaningful role in the political direction of the country.
True.
Now, some might say, but they are living in the United States. But they have investments here, you know. Yeah. They have family here.
And the blood is here, man. This is where the navel string buried. This is what the Jamaica Progressive League, this is what the people like Garvey himself and others did in the earlier stage, which propelled us and encouraged us towards self-government and independence. They must do it again. They simply can't go on as if they found they crossed a bridge and they found a good life and therefore tough on the rest of the day. We send you one barrel at Christmas.
No. When you find I think it is incumbent on all of us. Yeah. If you find yourself in a position where you can help anyway, if you can just give an extra slice of bread, you do it. So whatever role you can play in assisting, in helping to alleviate the situation and making home a better place, you just do it.
Yeah, but hold on now.
I said before,
it's going to need, beyond the private charity, beyond the engagement, all of which is to be encouraged. You are correct. We're talking about ultimately the need for systemic change, and I believe that from my experience, you have had another kind of experience, equally deep, that the political class in Jamaica. You have some of them that are just interested in grab and thief and greedy. Yeah, some of them before the court. Some of them should be. But there are many who genuinely seek the good of the country, but they become captive to an economic system. They become captive to special interests that make it that cut the quick of their ambition to really change things.
Ronnie, we need serious political reform. Listen, this is going to take just more than people who seek in popularity. What we need in Jamaica, we need leaders who will look at the situation and decide to sacrifice themselves. I'm not saying commit suicide, but I'm saying we have to turn around this.
Lost you.
Right, look at it.
You're in a bad spot. See if you can resume the position you were in, so we don't. You're breaking up.
Are you any better? Are you any better?
Better now.
All right. Look at the institution. Now, if we look at how police force was formed, very little has changed, in terms of philosophy.
True.
So in order for us to get changes and get a change in attitude and behavior from the members, you have to change the whole philosophy of the organization. And I'm saying it applies to the political system. The political system as it is becoming like a feeding tree. We have to take a serious look at that and make serious decisions. Now, so I have also spoken. You talk about politicians, some of whom entered politics 2.5 miles away from poverty. And within 5 years, they are millionaires. Now, I am suggesting that all public officers should declare their assets up front. I think it would be a good thing for them because, for example, I am entering politics as a millionaire. So I declare it. So when you see me driving my Benz, I had it before.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with you.
Yes, declare your assets.
Yeah.
Because
before, during, and after, especially not because it will be an imposition, I can tell you, but because even the present regulations are very onerous. But given the level of low public trust, it is vital that steps be taken to remove that. And instead of everybody believing, I'm no business with them man, I'm no business with them party, I'm no business with them system, I just do my thing because all of them corrupt.
Now look at the last election, the voter turn. And the last poll is showing how voter apathy is growing. These are things that have to be tackled in a serious way.
Yeah, well, you make a good suggestion. I love that.
Yes. And the only way I see it, we have to be transparent, we have to be serious, and we have to decide to rock the boat.
Yeah, but beyond that, Desmond, the crony capitalism that is the nature of our, which is the description of our economy. Yes, where in fact the value of foreign exchange, for example, is determined by a relatively few people who have the cash to buy it in, to run it up, run it down, whatever it is. The absence of investment, meaningful investment in areas like food sufficiency, in areas like meaningful educational reform, those things are going to hurt some in order for them to take place. It needs a strong state. It needs a new moral determination of the society, Desmond.
Yes, Ronnie, it is going to take determination and not a big stick determination. We want all stakeholders at the table and to look at the situation. Because let's face it, business needs peaceful environment and stability also.
Quite so. I'm a PNP man, and I admired Michael Manley. But Michael Manley was wrong when he spoke about 5 flights. What he did was frighten unnecessarily for the reforms. He frightened people to move out of Jamaica. There were many other reasons. Yes, because their color class position was under threat, as it should be. Not under threat. It was under challenge because black people were beginning to stand up in ways and demand social change. But it could have been done in a different way. And
of course.
Yes. So we have to be honest about this,
I think that was just an instance of political diarrhea that affects a lot of politicians.
Well, that's but we have to avoid that. We have to make a commitment to each other. Part of the standoff now, where this government feels, boy, anybody to do with PNP, boy, we have to watch them, and it's our time now, which is an insidious sense that you get in the whole thing. Yes, and it has its other manifestation too when the PNP are in office, but I don't think quite as severe. These things are keeping us back right now.
That is foolishness, and that's what I'm saying. That we, all of us, and especially the leaders, they have to set the example. Yeah. You have to pull all the interests to the table and lay out the cards. Yeah. It's not a matter of me against you or you against me. We have to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is the road for prosperity. We have to balance this so that people first of all can start with gaining trust in the system, and you give people hope. It can't be that vast numbers of Jamaicans are left outside the tent, while a few are inside enjoying themselves. This is a recipe for disaster, and we don't want that. None of us want that. We don't want to wreck the country.
No.
We want the country to grow and prosper.
Yeah.
But we can't talk these things away. We have to act.
Yeah. But then you see, next time we have the pleasure of your company on the bridge on Public Eye, I want to hear from you and reason with you as to what is the set of principles, what is the philosophy, what is the ideology that is going to encourage people to recognize that the basis for happiness, the basis for their own security and their own advancement is the welfare of others.
Well, I am willing to offer to offer my views on that. Yeah. I don't know if the country. Yes. I don't know if the country. And first of all, I don't know if you're. Well, let me put it this way. I don't know if the country has the appetite to digest that kind of argument right now. Because you see, hungry people can't think. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Well. I understand, but we have to cultivate the appetite, and we have to conform our systems and our behavior accordingly, and that's if we don't do it, we are going to starve, because our when we feel that we are getting something to put in our bellies is just garbage. Well. Garbage is another problem. Desmond Richards, I love the honesty, I love the frankness, and I love the commitment that's behind your engagement. Let's do it again. Thank you so much for the company today.
Thanks for having me.
All the best. Desmond Richards, formerly of the Herald, formerly of the Record, president of the Press Association of Jamaica, public commentator, man of roots and on the street. Our guest on the Public Eye on the bridge. Coming up to the midday hour, we'll be back afterwards. Stay with us, linking with the U.S., talking about the economy there and how it affects Jamaicans and people of Caribbean origin, the Anawim, the poor of the world, when we come back. From 1974 to 2007, the Public Eye, John Maxwell, Wilmot Perkins, Agri Brown, Simon Clark, Garnet Roper, June Hines, and myself connected the dots in Jamaica. We're bringing the Public Eye to the bridge and to the diaspora now. Professor Basil Wilson's our guest today. So, Prof, what's going to happen? How one senator can overturn the aspiration of the whole nation?
Well, the margins are so thin. I mean, when you look at the Senate, it's a 50-50 Senate in which the Vice President breaks the tie to 51. And bills get through the Senate at this juncture through reconciliation. So the bill that we're speaking about, one senator can, in fact, derail the passage of that bill. And right now, both Manchin and Sinema have taken the position that they're not in favor of the $3.5 trillion, and they're presently negotiating with the White House to determine what should be in the bill, what should be out of the bill, and how much money should be spent. And until that is settled, I mean, that negotiation is actually taking place between Sinema and members of the White House staff. Pelosi had mentioned that a vote on the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, would take place tomorrow. It's unlikely that she will have the votes because the progressives in the House of Representatives have said they would not vote on the physical infrastructure until both the human infrastructure and the physical infrastructure are ready to be voted on simultaneously.
So what's likely to happen? Will there be some compromise between the holdouts in the Democratic Party, Senators Manchin and Sinema? Do you think will something come out of that?
I think the Democratic Party is aware that there's no way that they can go back to the people in 2022 and say that they have not accomplished the president's agenda. That is going to be dependent on whether they are going to be re-elected as a majority party or they will in fact return to a minority party. Yeah. So they will have to find a way to compromise in order to pass this crucial legislation which will make a difference in the lives of working class and middle class people in the United States of America.
This is going to affect the provisions of that bill. It's going to affect people like Jamaicans and Caribbean people in the diaspora. This has to do with child care. It has to do with support for the elderly, free education or free tuition in places like the community college system that you are most familiar with. These are very important social measures, aren't they?
Very much so. And if you look at the Caribbean population, many Caribbean women have found a niche in terms of the home care market. Right. And what this bill would do, it would expand the possibility of, in fact, the home care market, because one of the crises that we have in the country is taking care of people who have got to a certain age and need the proper care, and that care, that long-term care, if you do not have it through the insurance, becomes almost to a state of bankruptcy for many families. Yeah. And in fact, some of the legislation included would ease that pressure, and in fact, it would create job possibilities as well as family possibilities for the people who find themselves in that predicament.
Let me just remind people that the Bridge text line is 876-551-5782, and the studio line, if you want to call, is 876-676-4996. So, Prof. Wilson, are the progressives, the AOCs, OMAD, all of the others, Bernie Sanders, are they asking for too much? Is their insistence likely to scuttle the overall prospect? That can't serve any ends?
I hope not. But there was, in principle, an agreement. The agreement that was negotiated initially is that both bills were Siamese twins, that they would be passed concomitantly. And in fact, what has happened recently is an attempt to separate one bill from the other. And what the progressives are saying, their leverage is in fact making certain that there's an agreement on the human infrastructure before moving towards deciding on the
reconciliation,
the physical infrastructure.
Thing. Okay, a couple of things then. That means then that Kyrsten Sinema and presumably Joe Manchin, or is he mollified so far, have to be satisfied in the next 24 hours for the Siamese twin vote to go tomorrow, or the vote has to be postponed until such time as that happens?
Well, I think it is likely that the vote will be postponed, because I don't think Pelosi has...
but that's a sign of weakness, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think the notion that the vote it was initially scheduled for Monday, then it was postponed to Thursday. I think that it's better to work out all the details for the human infrastructure before proceeding. And I think some progress has been made. I mean, the president have gone to Chicago towards pushing vaccine mandates today. He has stayed in the White House, and he's in fact staying on top of the negotiations that are taking place. And the information that we have gotten so far is that some progress has been made.
Yes.
So I think if we can, in fact, turn the corner in getting some kind of legislative framework as to what the 3.5 million would be like, even if it's less, I think that there's no question that the progressives will be willing to vote for the physical infrastructure sometime maybe early next week.
Explain for me, Prof. Wilson, what this process of so-called reconciliation is. How that work? What?
Well, that has come about because of the anachronistic measures that exist in the Senate. The Senate, in some respects, is a graveyard when it comes to legislation. Unless you can have 60 votes, if you are the majority party, unless you have 60 votes, you cannot avoid the filibuster in the Senate. Now, luckily, with the physical infrastructure, they had 19 Republican votes. So it was 50 Democrats plus the 19 Republican votes. So they were able to pass that. So the reconciliation bill is really a budgetary implications. And based upon the budgetary implications, you can pass a reconciliation bill that has budgetary implications with just a 50 majority.
Boy, that's strange, eh? Because that involves spending all this bands of money, and that is the one that you can get through absent the filibuster. Whereas, for example, voting rights or other issues, you have to persuade 10 of the Republicans to concede or to agree with you.
This is why there's a sentiment that we should really get rid of the filibuster. That the filibuster has become anachronistic.
The filibuster is when people can chat until they kill the bill.
No, it used to be when they had to be on the floor and they would chat ad infinitum. But now what they do, they just say, listen, we're opposing, we're invoking the filibuster, and that's that. So, in fact,
how democratic is that, Professor Political Science?
Pardon me?
How democratic is that?
It is not democratic. In fact, it is in fact an archaic measure that was introduced into the Senate. It's not a part of the Constitution, but it has become one in which many senators are wedded to. And in fact, Manson has been in fact very adamant that he would oppose any elimination of the filibuster.
Right. So what he's doing then is to paralyze any administration.
To paralyze it unless you can get a supermajority.
Which
given it's so divided.
But this is the point, sir.
Yes.
The polarization that Trump has brought to America, not all by himself, by any means, but largely during his period, if you agree with my analysis. The changing demography of the society, the huge difference that exists between a Bernie Sanders and a Grassley. All of these things are making a stalemate for the liberal enterprise.
Definitely. And in fact, one thing that we see is that the Republican Party has in fact moved towards suppressing the vote. It is in fact almost not committed to the democratic process anymore.
No.
It has become a neo-fascist party, and that can really be destructive to the future of American democracy.
But that is hugely distressing, Basil. That has implications for the future of the largest economy in the world. It has vast repercussions for the emulation of a political system which we in the Caribbean, for example, have long thought is the high point of human liberty and economic progress. Where is this taking us? Back to Trump and worse?
In fact, what we find is that the democratic system in the Caribbean is far more legitimized and far more fundamentally stabilized than it exists in the United States of America.
Yeah, that is the truth.
One of the things that Biden was pushing is that America would be the beacon of democracy, and in fact spread to the rest of the world the values of human rights, freedom, the press, having the robust kind of debate that would take place in a democratic society. But one of the things that I see in terms of the future, much of this crisis has been triggered by the changing demographics in American society. But I think that as the demographics continue to change, I think there's a possibility that the hegemony can be exercised by the Democratic Party, which will restabilize the system in such a way that the Republican Party will shrink and become a less effective political force in the future.
What is the basis for that optimism, Professor Wilson?
Well, the one would be what will take place in Texas inevitably. If you look at a place like Texas, even in terms of the electoral college, where Texas, next to California, has the highest amount of electoral college votes, Texas will inevitably become a majority state. When you look at the birth rate and the influx of Latinos, that they will become an increasing political force in the society. If you look at 3 states, as an example, Colorado, Nevada, and New Mexico, which were red states at one point.
Red meaning Republican.
Republican. With the influx of the Latino vote, they have now swung, in fact, to being blue states, and that has made a big shift in the electoral college.
But hold on, no, Prof. Help me with that one, no. Because
yes.
What you're saying is that that really Latinos and black people should breed up themselves and continue to have holy picnic, because white people are having less picnic and are getting older, and eventually demography will overturn the pre-fascism that you identify.
No, but we've already seen the trend. I mean, one of the things that you take, for example,
it's a fascinating prospect.
Right. Take, for example, immigration. We allow immigrants, about 1.2 million, to come to the United States. The vast majority of those immigrants are Indians and Chinese. So it's not a question of just black and brown. It's the multiracial nature of American society.
But are you assuming that those people coming in, those immigrants with that racial pigmentation and etc., that they are going to be more naturally Democratic than Republican? I mean, I continue to be shocked at those people of Jamaican origin and Caribbean blood who support Trump.
Yeah, but they're an insignificant minority. When you look at voting patterns, I mean, because of the racism of the Republican Party, if you look at the Asian community, which is including Indian and Chinese, they are voting overwhelmingly Democratic. If you look at the Hispanic community, over 56 to 70% vote for the Democratic Party. So if the Republican Party, which in 2012, did an analysis that, in fact, one of the reasons why they were losing presidential elections is because they were not appealing to a multiracial America. And even though they identified that, rather than finding a solution to that problem, they went more and more to appeal to white nationalism. And that white nationalism, when you look at the census data, where we just completed a 2020 census,
yes,
the white population is in fact diminishing, and by 2040, 2050, will constitute a plurality, but not a majority in the society.
One thing before we break. Prof, that means now, in the face of the efforts, obviously desperate efforts explained by the factors you have just pronounced on, every Caribbean person who has the opportunity, every black person is going to have to every Latino, make a determined effort that no matter all the restrictions on early voting, Sunday voting, whatever, that they get their ballot in the box, otherwise their corner is dark.
Definitely, because one of the things that we see in even a place like Southeast Queens, which has a high concentration of Caribbean people, the turnout to the polls is now in the same ratio as that of white voters. There was a time when black voters were not coming to the polls in great numbers. If you look at black women, they come out now at a rate even higher than white women or even white men.
Yes, but
so there's no question that the black population in the United States recognize the importance of politics and the voting process and now come out in sizable numbers. What they have not been doing, they come out in sizable numbers in presidential elections, but in off-year elections, they are not as forceful as they should be.
Yes.
A significant test will be in 2022, whether they come out in the great numbers to ensure that the Democratic Party can still take control of the House of Representatives.
Well, I'm challenging my colleagues here on the bridge that every effort must be used to inform and thereby to encourage, listening to people like yourself and many others, to understand that this is no ordinary time, that there are people who want to push you back across the water. There are people who want to keep you in second-class position, and that it is extremely important that you utilize whatever political influence and power, and certainly that of the vote, despite all of the problems and obstacles that people are putting in the way?
Yeah, it becomes terribly important, not just in New York State, but in Florida, where there's a large concentration of the diaspora.
Yes.
A lot of the diaspora spread out into places like Texas, in
Georgia,
parts of the country, in Georgia.
Yeah.
Look at what has happened in Georgia. It's in fact the two senatorial elections in Georgia that took place in January that gave the Democratic Party the majority in the Senate and has been able to push through the Biden agenda.
That, Basil Wilson, a short break. And when we come back, a couple of thoughts for you to share with us. First of all, about on the question of migration, what I'm doing to the Haitians, big man. Secondly, is Kamala Harris really pulling her weight? We don't feel so, or we wonder. What's your thought? And thirdly, can you describe for our listeners, in the diaspora and in Jamaica, the importance of the work of the late Professor Charles Mills? Soon come back. This is The Public Eye on the Bridge and linking with Irie Jam. Soon come.